It feels so good to be back. What's up, disc golf fans? I'm Jamie Thomas, hanging out in the old stomping grounds at SpinTV. Honored to be here, checking out the 2018 European Disc Golf Championships. This is the FPO final round coverage, and what a star-studded card it is. Let's get into it. Henna Blomroos, the Finnish phenom, has come out. 4-stroke lead over Eveliina Salonen. Kristin Tattar from Estonia at 3 over par, and Eva Kralova also at 3 over par. Spoiler alert, my dark horse pick for this tournament. So very happy to see her playing well as we start out on hole 1 in Sveti Martin in Croatia. This downhill par 3 features a triple mandatory, just enough to make you think off the tee here. As I said, it's a giant triple mandatory. You've got to throw over this railing that the elevated tee box is having you just peer right over. Downhill, nice and straight. Let's see what Henna has. And she's put a nice move on this, and that's panning out perfectly into the middle of the fairway. Great start for her round. Coming off of a 10-24 performance in the middle of this event. She did not begin the tournament by leading. Eveliina looked to have a pretty firm grasp early on. She goes for the forehand here, and that needs to get down. And despite getting a good bit of distance, she did miss outright of that triple mando. There's a drop zone right underneath it. As we watch Estonia's Kristin Tattar, and you'll have to forgive the American accent. Do the best I can all day. She's got that one turned over as well. Yeah, and that's going to be right side of that mandatory. Another drop zone. And opportunity early for Eva to capitalize as both of these ladies start the day tied for third place. And this is looking prime. Right down the middle. 2 right side misses. 2 squares up the center as Eveliina, goes for the forehand. Ooh, off the basket. Not a bad way to pick yourself up after your opening tee shot miss. Here's Kristin going with the power hyzer out from right to left. Swings it back in perfectly behind the basket. Has a good look to save 4. Here's a routine-looking upshot from Eva. Little turned over out of her hand, but the grass grabbed it nicely. Should be no problem. And nice little floaty upshot there. Should put her in par range. And a bogey cleanup on the table. Solid. Even when you're putting for bogey, it's nice to hit the dead center of the basket early. Just nice, confident putting stroke, as Eva also demonstrates. Really just gets you in the right mindset, even after an early mistake. Par not bad for Henna. That's about as good as you can do on this hole. Not even a lot of the men were doing this. This is one where you want to avoid the mistakes more than really push something. Because you go right into hole 2 and at 68 meters, playing kind of up this, looks like a runoff area where water runs downhill, and there's a little shelf here near the basket where just causes, you have to control the height a little bit more than you think, and you really do have to hit a narrow gap. As Blomroos is eyeing that left side, but looks like she's going to opt to go straight up the gut and bring it back in left around that tree. Just got a little high and a little grippy there. Eva second on the box after that par. And it looks like she hit her line, but just maybe was a notch overstable on that disc. It started coming out of that turn a little bit early. Eveliina plays the hyzer, that safe side up the left. Clean look. And Kristin has pured this beautifully. Leaves kept her from getting too much ground play, but that should be a pretty tasty opportunity to get a birdie. Get that stroke back from Eva that she just gave away. And with a little deft touch right off the tree. Nicely done. Ooh, that's a little bit wide. Should still be good for a straddle. Eveliina just off the basket. She's looking at giving one stroke away in 2 holes. Her lead's at 3 right now. Kristin capitalizes to tie Eva back up temporarily. And that score will hold going into the 3rd hole. A good par by Henna. A little bit of a missed opportunity there by Eveliina. I'm sure she'd love to have that putt back. As Henna's lead has now 5 strokes through 2 holes. We'll go to hole 3. OB lining the left side of this rather straight fairway. Trees on the right, more of a natural out of bounds style. 115 meters. This should be pretty attackable for these women. All 4 of them should at least have a putt. Obviously, the 2 Finns have shown they're very capable of getting some distance off the tee, so I would expect them to posterize this hole. Kristin, not sure if she got quite enough turn on that. She has the distance. Just left it a little bit too hyzered at the end. Here's Henna. Ripping one nice and straight. Just a little nestle inside the circle easily. That'll look for a birdie. Eva showing us the 3rd backhand. Putting a little bit more ante on it. But she gives up just a little bit of distance to the rest of her card mates here. Eveliina, who has the forehand, will also opt to go backhand and challenge these right side trees. Flexing nicely. Well done. That'll also look. And look at this backdrop that these ladies and the men get to play, but the morning light here and Sveti Martin, beautiful. And just a little weak side bid. The Finns have the opportunity here. The blue and white wall of Finland showing up strong as it always does in the European Championships. Pair of birdies for Henna and Eveliina. And Eva to clean up her par. Solid playing so far by these ladies. A couple of missed mandatories on that very first hole, but that's really been the only blemish so far. Let's roll right along to hole number 4. 111 meters. You see the gap right in front of you. Shields you from the wind. Shields you a little bit from the light, or at least it does the camera. And the basket has a little bit of a little downslope at the very end, just to fool you. But we should see some power hyzers for the right-handed players on this. Excellently done right there by Henna. Great shot. You can't do too much better than that. And Eveliina has just really set the tone early in the pace of this match, and she's kind of already forcing Eveliina to step up and really throw some shots close, but she wasn't really able to do that there. She leaves it left side. Here's Tattar's hyzer. Gonna be a little bit short. Didn't quite put enough oomph on that one. This is a hole where definitely, once again, the power difference kind of shows. This grass is very grabby, as we just saw from Eva's drive. She's left with this long look, which I don't really know if you call it a look. She did line up like she was putting, but I think that was layup the whole way. That's a look right there, though. Kristin almost cans one for a bonus birdie. And here's a tough straddle. Ooh, navigates the trees expertly, but again, that's 2 putts she's left weak side, missing birdies. Crucial stroke she can't really afford to give away early in this round. It's a good par cleanup, and this birdie is just textbook on this hole. Ooh. No pictures on the scorecard. A birdie is a birdie. And pars there. Again, after the first hole where we saw a pair of bogeys, we've seen 4 birdies and nothing over par so far. Pretty good pace for the women. 76-meter downhill par 3. That's hole number 5 for you. Very tight left-hand turn. Or I guess a right-handed turn. Favors the right-hand backhand, but a left turn. Language is fun. As we see Henna going to the standstill. Really tight gap. She's going to have to pick that right or that left side. But the corner creeps up really quickly. And looks like she got held up by that corner. It's tough with this downhill to really push the disc and not go too long or throw something too fast, but yet still beat that corner. As Eveliina makes the same mistake, leaving it inside early. Kristin looks to go her full run up, and she hits that right side. A little bit tough to see what happened with that one, but it didn't filter all the way through. And Eva tags the first available tree, but ironically may have the best lie of all 4 of the competitors for a second shot. And her hyzer was a little long at the corner, but she's pin high out right. Should be looking. And Eveliina needing some of that ground play there. Playing it quite nicely. And Kristin lays up to a great spot, and look at this. Henna Blomroos with a little bit of a look. Looks like she opted for the safe side. She had one little tree at the very end, and although she seems disappointed with that, that's not the worst thing to do when you're protecting a 5-stroke lead. Yeah. Eveliina, let's spin that back one time. From the straddle stance, challenges that left side of the basket once again, but gets this one to stick. Great par save. And some respect from her competitors there. Eva couldn't quite get that long par look to fall. And oh no. The first mistake we've seen out of Henna Blomroos all round. An unnecessary bogey. And she and Eva will have to live with those bogeys as Eva navigates this tough little tap in. 2 over for the FPO lead card on this hole, and tricky little downhill hole that was. Let's go to a longer, more challenging downhill hole. The 6th is another par 3, 117 meters. And look at this hillside as we see on camera from left to right. It runs away very, very quickly. And the right side out of bounds, you have to really play the ridge of this hill just so perfectly, or you're going to be looking at a tough score. Eveliina's trusting her forehand. And I'm a little surprised at that, actually. This grass looks a little bit longer. I'm surprised it didn't grab, but with that flare, she will be out of bounds as Kristen's hyzer is heading towards the bad place. Really challenging that far down the hill. It almost takes the birdie entirely out of the equation. Here's Blomroos. And she's got that turn too far over. But oh my goodness, look at that kick off of the tree. And once again, the grass does not play grabby and allows her to filter back inside. And Eva's got good turn on this, but it might be too high. Yeah, it's fading. It's the good angle. She just needed a little bit low. As you can see, where she and Kristen both have to throw from, it's a tall order to even think about running the birdie. You just kind of want to get that par. And Henna decides to think the same way from the top of the hill. And Eveliina looked like a 50-50 run to me. It's a tough pill to swallow when you're out of bounds. Your competitor gets a fortunate break back in bounds, and they already have a 5-stroke lead. It's hard not to run that. It's smart golf right there to wait, play patient, see if there's another spot you can kind of make your move on. But these last 2 holes have resulted in the card combined playing 4 over par compared to the 4 under par for holes 2, 3, and 4. So we've seen a very quick reversal for our competitors here. As we move on to this par 4, check this sweet spot out on this. Not easy to access off the tee, and then you're turning almost 90 degrees to the right and pushing it back up the hill. 2 very challenging shots you have to string together to look at a birdie. Wouldn't be surprised to see some forehand play here if any of these competitors can trust it. The gap is pretty far off the tee. And that's about as good as you can do it right there. Great controlled turnover right to the sweet spot. Ooh. Yeah, we feel for you there. That's going to be a tough spot. And here is that forehand challenging the corner, just beating that last guardian tree. And she is in a very attackable position to get up and down for birdie. Estonia's turn on the box. Another great forehand, getting a little more length and setting herself up for an uphill forehand run at it. And the standstill, I was going to say jump putt, not even jump putt, just a straddle putt pitch out. You can see how dangerous this hole is as soon as you get off this fairway. Tough to navigate. Henna looks like she over-rotated just a smidge on that. Cracked the tree on the turnover. Here's Kristin for a similar shot. Well played. Eveliina going to the patent pending. So powerful on her throw. Makes it look relatively easy getting up that hill. Eva still got some work left, not out of trouble. Ooh, just the smallest trees reach out and grab that disc. And all of a sudden, this 5-stroke lead could become, or excuse me, 6-stroke lead with Eveliina taking the bogey. But Henna's going to give that one right back, and Eva finally gets done with this hole. Ready to be done with it. No more. No more this weekend. Great birdie there from Kristin. Great birdie there from Eveliina. And she's a few strokes back, but she is battling. You love to see it. Let's move on to hole 8. 81 meters downhill. Navigate some trees. There's a tight backhand line. There's also a forehand line. In a weird way, this hole reminds me a lot of hole number 9 at the Beast up in Nokia, Finland. And it's one we watched Seppo Paju posterize on the FPO coverage. Eveliina looking for the forehand, just leaving it 2 inside. Hits the tree. And here's Kristin for her first forehand of the day. And looks like she missed her line, but she did filter all the way through, and she'll be pin high out right. Henna looking for another turnover. Downhill turnovers. Executed to nearly perfection right there. Only just a little snack to get that birdie. It's not a full meal, just a little snack. And Eva sneaking through that same gap Kristin seemed to hit. She will have a look. Oh, and that's a fortunate little tree kick there. Makes that about half as difficult as it would have been. There's not quite enough legs on that putt by Eva. Here's Kristin lining up a long birdie attempt. And she's almost connected on a couple of those longer ones. Again, just leaving it a little am side. There's a great birdie by Henna. Just a fearless player. It's been very fun to kind of watch this battle between, well, honestly, these 3 ladies, the 2 Finns and the Estonian, really battling this year and bringing the European FPO game up a notch. It's really great to see. So we're through 8. See you in a minute. Oh, Sveti Martin. How I'd love to come out and visit and see this course. Hole 9, par 5, 157 meters. Uphill, uphill, uphill. Grabby grass, grabby grass, grabby grass. Gonna need a lot of power on this one. Should be a very scoreable hole, though, considering it's a par 5 and laying out at only 157 meters. I would expect 2 2 good shots will have you throwing something at it for eagle, but probably looking for a birdie putt. Plenty of power on this card to get there. Just 1 gap to navigate. Ooh. And that is not where you want to be. That left side looks perilous. Eveliina wanted that one. She throws so hard, just puts her whole self into it. Just 1 tree's width to the left of where she needed to be, and that would have been far up the fairway, I'm sure of it. And here's Kristin showing him how to hit the gap. Just coasting over that hillside. Great shot. Yeah. Great drive there by Eva. Picking herself up after a tough first 8 stretch. Just a couple things not quite going her way. And speaking of, that is not a good lie. Henna will be throwing her 3rd shot tucked up against that tree. Advantage Eveliina on this one. She's put it out in the open. Oh, and that's just one of the scariest lies. You know, if your hand gets too far extended away from your chest, you could scrape it on some tree bark, and that's never fun. But she does a good job getting herself in position to attack the green. And attack is exactly what I would use to describe Eveliina's game. She's going to be looking at a birdie. It's a long one, though. Here's Eva with a nice turnover. Okay. She has a pretty safe look. She's got a backboard. Using that hillside. And Kristin's powering a hyzer from up the hill. Sliding past the trees. There's an eagle look, ladies and gentlemen, for Kristin Tattar. We'll see if she can capitalize on that one momentarily. Another topside power hyzer. Again, leaving it out to the right. And this is the side of the hill you want to play from. Just like that, there's no problem to try to attack it. This is the more dangerous side. If you fly this basket, you're going a long ways down. Oh, and look at Kristin Tattar pumping that 3rd one into the pro side of the chains. That basket starts at her ankle height, so she's got to have all that power and get slightly uphill. Expertly done for a 3. And we'll see a couple of pars for the Finns and a drop-in birdie for Eva. Way to play that one right there. Didn't have the distance of 2-3 of the other people on her card, but she was able to get ahead of them nonetheless. Remember to check out SpinTV. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We got 9 more holes out in Croatia for the European Disc Golf Championships. Join me. We'll see you there. SpinTV.